Last week, Apple informed its customers in India that it will no longer store their card information on file and will not be accepting payments made by debit cards and credit cards for purchases or subscriptions on the App Store or other Apple services in light of the upcoming RBI regulations. It will still be accepting payments through UPI. The decision of the US giant surprised many, but not those who are scrambling to meet the RBI deadline on tokenization of cards, which is June 30, 2022. Come July 1, merchants, payment aggregators, payment gateways, and acquiring banks can no longer store the card details of customers. Only card issuing banks and card networks can store the actual card data. With businesses still reeling with the disruption caused by RBI's rules for card-based recurring payments that came into effect January 1st this year, another storm is brewing for them. Businesses and other entities that have stored any such data will have to purge them and apply tokenization. Tokenization is the replacement of card number with an alternative code called the token. Once created, the tokenized card details will be used in place of the actual card number for online purchases initiated or instructed by the cardholder. A tokenized card transaction is considered safer as the actual card details are not shared with the merchant during transaction processing. It will cut the chances of card information leakage. For transaction tracking and reconciliation purposes, entities can store the last 4 digits of card number and card issuer's name. The customer's consent and OTP-based authentication is required for creating a token. A customer can, however, still choose not to tokenize his or her card. In such a case, customers will have to enter complete card details every time they make a payment. This could lead to a decline in revenues for merchants as a significant number of conversions happen through saved cards. The first RBI deadline to tokenize card details was June 30, 2021. But at the request of merchants and payment aggregators, as well as card companies and banks, it was extended to December 31, 2021, and the deadline was again extended by 6 months. Earlier this month, Paytm said it had tokenized 2.8 crore cards across Visa, MasterCard and RuPay, accounting for 80% of monthly active cards on the app. Other businesses are also nudging users to tokenize their cards in order to enjoy a seamless experience from July 1st. For instance, every time a user opens the Swiggy app, he is greeted with a message at the bottom of the screen to secure his cards before June 30. PayU, Razorpay, PhonePe, Worldline, and Pine Labs are among the companies that have come up with tokenization solutions to help businesses transition to the new framework. Kilan Haria, VP and Head of Payments Product at Razorpay, told Business Standard that Visa, MasterCard, RuPay, and Diners Club have gone live on its tokenization platform, with American Express expected to go live soon. However, it is not just card networks, but card issuing banks too have to come on board. With just about 5 weeks to go, where does the payments ecosystem stand in terms of its preparedness?
I think with the extension and now with June happening, I think there is a lot more certainty. So we do not expect any large scale disruption. I think edge cases are what are being worked upon today, and we are closely partnering with all the networks. And I think some of the issuers as well. So 100% of the Razorpay merchants are live on the tokenization solution. Is the way we had inherently built the entire stack, which was the pre-tokenization stack, which essentially meant that Razorpay checkout had to kind of integrate with the tokenization suite that we exposed. So for 99% merchants, the work was zero. For the remaining 1% merchants, which prefer to customize and build their own checkout and have PCI compliance, these are the merchants who need to do the heavy lifting at their end. I think we have full confidence for the mature networks, which have already battle tested it, that will hold the scale. Razorpay is offering, which directly connects to the network, supports, I think, upward of 10,000 transactions per second. So it supports more than the peak of India's digital payments that we see today on the acquiring side. I think RuPay is of course new, but all the early signs and the deep dive we've done with RuPay gives us the confidence that this should also be pretty smooth journey on the scale side. Issuing banks have to provide a portal to end customers to be able to see and manage their cards. And second aspect is issuing banks are also allowed to become a tokenized solution by themselves and save some of these cards. So Razorpay has been working with issuing banks on both the solutions. The first one, where they need to provide a portal, I think is a regulatory mandate, and we've been enabling issuing banks to be compliant with that mandate. I think the progress that we are hearing is pretty promising. I think we will see majority of the banks being ready on the portal and the view and the management. Even if few banks are not ready in the edge case scenario, right? This still takes the security one level higher, where at least it's now stored with a fewer set of parties.
Meanwhile, a lack of compliance by banks with RBI's rules on recurring payments is already leading to a large number of recurring transaction failures. Razorpay's Kilan Haria said it would take about 6 to 9 more months for reaching the stabilization phase where coverage would be near complete. Several banks are yet to integrate with mandate hubs like Buildesk, SciHub, or Razorpay's Mandate HQ, affecting publishers, B2B SaaS companies, and small businesses and startups that majorly depend on subscriptions for revenue. While recurring payments still make up only a minor portion of overall payments, the magnitude of the impact from card tokenization will be enormous, affecting merchants of all sizes, including major e-commerce companies and food delivery firms. The Merchants Payments Alliance of India, whose members include Netflix, BookMyShow, Disney Plus Hotstar, Microsoft and Zoom, said it observed that requisite backend infrastructure isn't ready. It said that unless the backend infrastructure for processing payments using tokens is ready by June 30th, data purging by merchants and payment aggregators would lead to a breakdown in settlements, reconciliation, and services such as refunds, cashbacks, and chargebacks. The Alliance said that data purging without demonstrated ecosystem readiness at scale across use cases would give rise to business continuity challenges for merchants of all sizes.
From a merchant perspective, we have limited visibility and information on the state of readiness of the payments ecosystem as a whole, which includes, of course, at the base layer, the card schemes, and then the banks and payment aggregators. We, as on date, don't have final APIs from our service partners. And therefore, there is no real way for us to tell you what level of readiness payments partners, whether they're aggregators or card schemes or banks, are at currently. This is fairly similar to the situation that you saw last year around subscription payments, where until the last day, people said that there is no real issue. We are meant to purge card data in time for the deadline as well. And therefore, there's a real risk that there is immense amounts of service disruption and an erosion, therefore, of consumer welfare. Unless there is a sort of a reality check within the entire ecosystem, there are at least two steps involved. One is for tokens to be generated, and the second is for the tokens to be processed. So we are at a point where token generation has been achieved by quite a few of our payments entities. However, token processing is which is actually being able to reconcile the token with a transaction and also test it against use cases, like I said, chargebacks, EMIs, etc. All of those things is still to be done.
With some banks, particularly smaller ones, not expected to be compliant with the regulations from day one, customers can expect some friction while making payments online. The transition to the new payments regime will certainly not be smooth. Merchants and consumers are going to face problems. The next 5 weeks are crucial in this transition. Banks and other players of the payments ecosystem will have to work in tandem to ensure that everything falls in line.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.